There exists a wound that bleeds with love. For 50 years, it wept tears of crimson mercy upon this earth, carried in the flesh of a man who dared to love God so completely that heaven itself marked his body as its own. Francesco Forgione, a name whispered in hospital corridors, spoken through tears in confessionals, carved into the hearts of millions who found hope when hope had died. They call him Padre Pio, but I call him the saint who proved that God's love is not theoretical. It is written in blood and roses, in midnight apparitions and impossible healings. Your soul led you here for a reason. Perhaps you carry a burden too heavy for your shoulders. Perhaps you've lost faith in miracles. Perhaps you're searching for proof that someone somewhere truly understands your pain. Share this sacred story. Press that heart, ring that bell. Tell another aching soul about what you're about to witness, because what unfolds here will shatter every doubt about divine love. In the forgotten hills of Pietrelcina, where poverty clung to families like winter frost, a 5-year-old boy knelt beside his mother's bed, pointing to figures only he could see. "Mama," little Francesco whispered, "the beautiful lady is here again, and the man with wounded hands, he's smiling at me." Rosa Forgione watched her son with wonder and fear. This child was different. He spoke to invisible companions, levitated in his sleep, knew things no earthly teacher had shared. When fever burned through his small body, he would cry out not in pain, but in ecstasy, as if fire itself was teaching him to love. The village priest found the boy at dawn, arms stretched wide before the altar cross, tears streaming down his face as he whispered prayers in languages he'd never learned. "This child," the priest told Rosa, "carries eternity in his heart." At 15, Francesco entered the Capuchin monastery, shedding his earthly name like old clothes. Brother Pio, they called him, Brother Pius, but heaven had already begun writing a different story across his flesh. The other seminarians found him collapsed in his cell, bleeding from invisible wounds that appeared and vanished like divine punctuation marks. During prayer, his body would burn with such intense heat that his clothes singed, yet he shivered as if ice ran through his veins. "Tell me, when did you last hunger for God with such intensity that it physically marked your body? When did prayer become so real that it left you breathless, changed, transformed?" His spiritual director documented the impossible. Young Pio wrestling with demons that left claw marks on the walls, yet emerging from each battle more luminous, more filled with supernatural peace. The 20th day of September, 1918. History held its breath. Padre Pio knelt after Mass, lost in that place where human love touches divine love, where the soul dissolves into pure adoration. The chapel fell silent except for his heartbeat, a rhythm that matched the pulse of eternity itself. Light exploded from the crucifix, not gentle candlelight, but the blazing fire of divine love concentrated into beams that pierced his hands, his feet, his side. Pain beyond description, the very suffering of Christ compressed into human flesh, yet simultaneously, joy so complete it could only come from perfect union with God's will. When the light faded, 5 wounds remained, not mere cuts or scratches, but perfect replicas of crucifixion wounds that would bleed fresh every day for half a century, yet never heal, never corrupt, never cease emanating the fragrance of paradise. Drop a comment if you've ever experienced pain that somehow brought you closer to God's heart. Share that sacred struggle. Others need to know they're not alone in their holy sufferings. Dr. Giorgio Festa arrived skeptical, armed with medical instruments and scientific certainty. He left kneeling, weeping, converted by what no textbook could explain. "The wounds penetrate completely through his hands," he wrote in his report. "I can see daylight through them. Yet there is no infection, no deterioration. The blood is fresh daily, the tissue pink and healthy. Most impossible of all, the fragrance. Roses and violets emanate from these wounds with an intensity that fills entire rooms." Other physicians came, professors, specialists, skeptics. Each left with the same confession. Medical science had no categories for what they witnessed. This was divine territory, where the laws of nature bowed before supernatural love. Picture this: Padre Pio celebrating Mass in his monastery chapel while simultaneously appearing at a soldier's deathbed 200 miles away. Not imagination, not legend, documented reality. Lieutenant Bernardo Rossini still trembles when he tells the story. Flying over San Giovanni Rotondo during the war, every bomb in his aircraft jammed when a bearded friar materialized in the sky, arms spread wide like a living cross protecting the village below. Years later, meeting Padre Pio for the first time, Rossini collapsed. "You're the priest who stopped my bombs." How does love travel faster than airplanes? How does compassion transcend the boundaries of physical presence? Through saints like Padre Pio, who loved so completely that God bent reality to match their hearts. A businessman dying in Milan opened his eyes to find the stigmatist beside his bed, offering last rites and peace. Hospital cameras recorded an empty room. Phone records proved Padre Pio never left his cell. Yet the man died in perfect grace, prepared for eternity by impossible love. Step into Padre Pio's confessional and enter a place where pretense dies instantly. Here, the saint's wounded hands could read hearts like open books, revealing sins buried for decades, healing guilt that had festered in darkness. Maria approached, planning to hide her greatest shame. Before she spoke, Padre Pio whispered, "My daughter, the child you lost to that terrible choice still prays for you in heaven. She forgives you. God forgives you. You must forgive yourself." Giuseppe came to mock, carrying 40 years of hidden murder in his heart. "My son," the saint said gently, "the man you killed in the barn sends his forgiveness through me. He's waiting to embrace you in paradise if you truly repent." These weren't magic tricks or lucky guesses. This was the gift of a soul so transparent to God that divine knowledge flowed through him like light through crystal. If these miracles are stirring something deep within your heart, let others know. Hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, share this video with someone who needs to believe in impossible love. Your simple action might be the miracle someone else desperately needs. Little Gemma Di Giorgi lived in perfect darkness, born without pupils, condemned to a world of endless night. Her grandmother carried her to Padre Pio, whose wounded hands framed the child's face like a blessing. "What beautiful blue eyes you have, little one," he whispered, tracing the sign of the cross over her closed lids. Light flooded her world for the first time. Perfect pupils had formed in those blank eyes, medical impossible made beautifully real. Giovanni Savino arrived dying, cancer devouring his body like hungry fire. Doctors had written his death certificate. Padre Pio simply touched his forehead and said, "Go home, my son. Live long and love much." Every malignant cell vanished, leaving physicians speechless and Giovanni dancing with joy. But here's the mystery that haunts every healing. Padre Pio suffered more as he healed others more. Each miracle cost him something, as if his own flesh paid the price for every supernatural intervention. Satan cannot tolerate such concentrated holiness. Night after night, demonic forces attacked Padre Pio with unprecedented fury, leaving his cell destroyed, his body bruised, yet his soul unshakable. Fellow friars found furniture overturned, walls clawed, the smell of sulfur thick in the air. But Padre Pio knelt in the center of chaos, hands folded in prayer, stigmata bleeding fresh mercy onto the stone floor. "I am a poor friar who prays," he would say simply, as if such humility could contain the cosmic war being fought over his soul, the battle between light and darkness playing out in a simple monastery cell. Have you ever felt attacked for trying to live righteously? Comment below about times when doing good brought unexpected opposition. You're not alone. Saints throughout history have walked this difficult path. Even the church he served with perfect devotion questioned his authenticity. For years, ecclesiastical authorities restricted his ministry, forbade public masses, cut him off from correspondence with spiritual children who depended on his guidance. The stigmatist who could read souls was treated like a fraud. The healer who raised the dead was silenced like a heretic. Yet he submitted with supernatural grace, offering each humiliation as prayer for the very officials who persecuted him. "Obedience," he whispered to a friend, "is the virtue that opens heaven's doors. I would rather be wrong in obedience than right in rebellion." From his wounded hands flowed not only blood, but buildings. Casa Sollievo della Sofferenza, House for the Relief of Suffering, rose from impossible dreams and miraculous donations. "I want to build a hospital that treats the whole person," Padre Pio declared, "where medical science serves divine love, where healing touches not just bodies but souls." Donations arrived from strangers across the globe, poor widows sending their last coins, wealthy benefactors emptying bank accounts, all moved by mysterious inspiration to support this impossible vision. Today, that hospital stands as stone testimony to supernatural love, where cutting-edge medicine combines with constant prayer, where healing flows through both skilled hands and divine intercession. September 23, 1968. Exactly 50 years after receiving the stigmata, Padre Pio celebrated his final Mass with hands that trembled not from age, but from perfect love. As he spoke his last earthly words, "Jesus, Mary," something miraculous occurred. The stigmata that had marked his flesh for half a century vanished completely, leaving his hands smooth and unmarked as a child's. God had sealed the wounds that had proven his love to the world. The stigmatist's mission was complete. Over 100,000 mourners filled the streets, yet this was not an ending, but a beginning. Death had simply freed Padre Pio to help even more souls, to intercede from heaven with the same compassion he had shown on earth. In 2002, Pope John Paul II raised Padre Pio to the altars, officially proclaiming what millions already knew. This humble friar was indeed a saint of the highest order, but canonization merely confirmed what countless miracles had already proven. Today, Saint Padre Pio's intercession flows as powerfully as ever, healing the sick, converting the lost, comforting the grieving. Check the comment section of any video about him. You'll find testimonies of impossible healings, answered prayers, supernatural interventions. His spiritual children span every continent, every culture, united by experience of his fatherly care. Right now, as you watch this, Saint Padre Pio knows your name, your struggles, your secret hopes. The same saint who, by location to comfort dying soldiers, can reach across heaven to touch your heart. Whatever burden you carry, illness, financial crisis, broken relationships, spiritual dryness, he understands. His wounded hands, now glorified in heaven, still bear the marks of sacrificial love. Through those sacred wounds, your prayers reach the very heart of Christ. You don't need special formulas or complicated rituals. Simply speak to him as you would a loving father. Tell him your needs, your fears, your gratitude. He listens with the same compassion he showed to millions during his earthly life. Share in the comments how Saint Padre Pio has touched your life. Have you felt his presence during difficult times? Has he answered your prayers in unexpected ways? Your testimony might be exactly what another soul needs to hear. Saint Padre Pio called the rosary his weapon against evil, his ladder to heaven, his daily bread of prayer. He prayed it constantly, fingers moving over the beads like a heart beating in rhythm with Mary's maternal love. When you pray the rosary, you join your voice to his, adding your intentions to the river of prayer that flows eternally from his intercession. Each Hail Mary becomes a personal request, carried by wounded hands to the Queen of Heaven. Try this. Tonight, hold your rosary and ask Saint Padre Pio to pray with you. Feel the connection across time and space to a saint whose love transcends death itself. Every prayer offered in his name, every candle lit before his image, every heart that finds hope through his intercession continues his earthly mission. You become part of his living legacy when you trust in his help. His spiritual children include popes and peasants, celebrities and unknown sufferers, people from every walk of life united by one experience. They called upon Saint Padre Pio and found divine love answering through his intercession. The wounds he bore for 50 years created channels of grace that flow eternally. Through his stigmata, Christ's redemptive love reaches every corner of human suffering, bringing healing where medicine fails, hope where despair reigns, peace where chaos rules. If this video has strengthened your faith, nourished your soul, or simply reminded you that miracles are real, please subscribe to our channel. Ring the notification bell so you never miss these sacred stories that feed hungry hearts. Share this video with someone who needs hope today. Your simple click might deliver exactly the miracle they've been praying for. Saint Padre Pio's message to you today echoes across the years with crystal clarity. You are loved beyond comprehension. Your sufferings have meaning. Your prayers matter more than you know. The same God who marked a simple friar with crucifixion wounds loves you with identical intensity. The same divine power that worked miracles through wounded hands flows through your life when you surrender completely to divine will. Holiness isn't reserved for extraordinary people. It's available to anyone willing to love without limits, suffer without complaint, hope without conditions. The saint who by location to comfort the dying promises to be present in your final hour. The healer who cured the incurable intercedes for your every need. The mystic who bore Christ's wounds carries your name before the throne of grace. When earthly help fails, when medicine reaches its limits, when human love proves insufficient, Saint Padre Pio's intercession remains, constant as his bleeding wounds, fragrant as his supernatural roses, powerful as his perfect faith. Pray, hope, and don't worry. His most famous counsel still echoes from paradise. Let these words become your daily bread, your evening prayer, your morning strength. The 15 seconds I requested has become a journey into divine love made visible in human flesh. But this is only the beginning. Tonight, speak his name in prayer. Tomorrow, carry his example in your heart. Forever, trust in his intercession. May Saint Padre Pio's wounded hands hold your burdens, his fatherly heart comfort your sorrows, his powerful intercession bring you everything your soul truly needs. The stigmatist of God still bleeds mercy for you. The miracle worker still works miracles through you. The saint still loves you with divine love. Comment, "Pray for me, Saint Padre Pio," if you want this holy man's intercession in your life. Watch how heaven responds to such simple, trusting faith.